Great to have you here this morning. A security expert following the bizarre story of some 3 kidnapped ladies in Takoradi has faulted the police for not being proactive. Justine Bayo, a security and conflict resolution analyst, said the failure of the police to draw out public support to finding the 3 ladies is the reason they remain missing after some 5 months. Earlier on the Super Morning Show this morning, Kenneth Ajiman Atefua, a licensed criminologist, advised that to solve the case, the investigating body must answer what made the girls a target.
I'm not clear. There seems to be quite some confusion about how long this has gone on. Is it one person who's been gone for 5 months? Is it a number of several abductions that all of which have lasted 5 months, or there is just one that is recent, like a week or 2, and all of that? The reason that is important is that in crime analysis and in the public consciousness, there tends to be something what we criminologists call crime wave, where you have an increased reportage, sometimes of a single or a couple of unrelated episodes, say of robbery or rape or burglary or kidnappings. And because of heightened media reportage, the public mind is seized, is possessed by the idea that there is an increase in the phenomenon of that particular crime. I mean, it would be interesting for, and I say this without meaning to be insensitive about it, but in order to understand what exactly we are dealing with, what kind of decks do we have, cars do we have on the deck, it will be important to study what is it about Secondary Takoradi. And I don't want to rush to make any conjectures about that. I have some ideas in mind, but what is it about this city, or this twin city, and what is it about this time, and what are the ages of these girls, and what are the characteristics? Not that their ages or characteristics make them guilty of anything, but it's just to say that their vulnerability, their susceptibility to being kidnapped would be properly studied if we looked at who they are, what is their sociology, what kind of environment do they operate in, what is the kind of interactions, because there is always in abductions of this kind, where it is not military, it's not political, and I don't know that, but I'm just assuming, where it is for ransom, then there has to be certain vulnerability factors which the kidnappers, the evil-minded people, take into account. They are motivated offenders. They look at attractive victims and what are the components of the attractiveness.
Angela Dramna-Boaje, founder of the ACT Foundation, called on the police to collaborate with international partners on this matter.
I would have expected by now, in a case like this, first of all, I am beginning to think that even if it's not the same suspect, there appears to be some people who are trying to copy. Even if I'm just conjecturing, by now there should be intervention from the police headquarters that is looking at working with other sub-regional organizations, security organizations, to find out what has happened. I would have thought by now the Interpol would be in a case like this. Maybe I'm escalating it because as a parent, I feel the pain of what has happened when you are not sure whether your daughter is dead or not. I'm asking myself, a scarf was found, some dress.
Clothes,
yes. And if it was near to where the suspect was operating, what kind of examination, what kind of forensics were done on these clothes? Okay? Because some of these things may lead to further tracking or trailing of what has happened. And I'm thinking even by now, the Attorney General's Department should be involved, because kidnapping is a second-degree felony. If we call it abductions, unfortunately in our criminal Offences Act, it's a lower crime, but kidnapping is a second-degree felony. And the reason why I would expect that even the Attorney General should be involved at this point is that, is there a possibility of plea bargaining if these clothes were found near where the suspect is? it means there's a possible charge of murder. We don't know that yet. But you should be able to do the kind of questioning that will let this guy understand that he could probably be going in for a very long time if he's not prepared to talk.
Yeah.
So at that level of handling, with the kind of police responses we were getting yesterday, it grieves my heart.
Criminologist Ken Atefa also touched on the role of citizens in solving the crime.
Throughout the world, across time and space, the bulk of crime is resolved not by the police themselves, but by citizens cooperating with the police, sharing information. That's the essence of the story that Angela just told us about what the intervention by the professor friend. The critical turning point is when the public became involved in that process, circulating photographs. Then the perpetrators, perhaps, because we don't know that for sure, the perpetrators panicking and letting go. But it is always, not always, most crimes are resolved because people provide information. Now we have the photographs out. The second point is the suspect who is reticent in giving information. There is no way you can force him. We have to be realistic. You cannot torture him, but when you have assembled such circumstantial evidence as would incline a court to find that he is connected to the case, then that's when you begin to go to court. And I think that is when the Attorney General's department actually properly comes in, because at this point, what you want to be sure of is that you can link the suspect to an object which belongs to the victim.
Okay.
We call it a Lockhart principle.
Okay.
Now, in investigation. So linking the suspect to an object that belongs to the victim is critical, and that has been established already in this case. It is not conclusive, but it is highly probative of the offense of kidnapping or abduction. And if this person is not found, and police after a while has reasonable basis to believe that she is dead, and there is a period for the presumption of death, then and only then can a murder charge be properly brought against this person. And I believe, with the greatest of respect, that it is probably at that point that the Attorney General's intervention or intervention or feedback becomes most critical. Advising the police at this point, and I don't know, it is probable that all the fears that Angela has articulated have been taken into account by the police. It is possible that it has not occurred to them at all. But if they have not acted on these, it may be reasonable for them to do so. If they are doing so, then what we are asking for is an invigoration of their efforts in order to bring back these girls to their parents and to Ghanaians.
You heard the criminologist Ken Atefa, and earlier you heard Madam Angela Dramnabwaja. She's founder of the ARC Foundation, and they've been sharing their thoughts on how these girls or ladies missing in Takoradi can be found. We are picking information that a press briefing has started. We'll take you live to Takoradi when we get that feed. We'll take a quick breather. When we come back, more focus on these missing ladies. Do stay.